What do you expect from yourself?
This is the day that the Lord has made. I will be glad and rejoice in it.
It might not seem like it from his big personality, but Jameis Winston comes from a small rural community in Bessmmer, Alabama, where over 25% of the population lives below the poverty line.
And actually, I don't know how, but like 7 of us slept in this room right here. This bed is still the same bed that's been here since I grew up. This thing, I don't even want to get on this thing.
How did he go from such humble beginnings to one of the biggest names in the NFL? Jameis is one of the most entertaining players on the planet. He could play great, he could play terrible, and that's doing it exactly the Jameis Winston way. His style of play hasn't earned him any NFL records, but he does lead some of the funniest combinations of stats ever, including one for arguably the most entertaining game ever. It's why he's everyone's favorite player, no matter what he does on the field. Dear Dad, remember when you sacrificed your retirement years and career to help provide a better education for me? I owe my all to you, because without you, I'm another statistic. That was a message from Jameis Winston to his dad, Antonor Winston. Both his parents were immense supporters. And of course, he didn't just become another statistic. That is, until college, when he became a statistic in a completely different way. In Bessmmer, Alabama, the median household income is just about $30,000. That meant growing up, Jameis's life was quite different from the average American's.
But this, we just pee right here. And this is our area where we use the bathroom. We ain't have no money to really buy no water, so we keep the jug. What we gonna do? Get right here, but us, we sit here. That's probably some of the best water you get. But you had to stay away from the pee, though. You had to stay away from that pee.
But he always had his family. His parents were former athletes, his mother a runner, and his father a football and basketball player. So, of course, they were his biggest champions when he wanted to be not just a football player, but also succeed in baseball. People love Jameis's personality now, but growing up, he was extremely impatient and had a bad temper. He used to have problems with classmates and teammates. He was taking AP classes in high school and had a 4.0 GPA, while being a top recruit in both football and baseball. The Texas Rangers selected him in the 15th round of the 2012 MLB draft, while at the same time, he was considered the best dual-threat quarterback recruit in the nation by Rivals.com, and the best overall quarterback recruit by ESPN. Jameis decided against the Rangers, but he didn't give up baseball. He went to Florida State, where he was able to play both sports. In baseball, he was excellent, a switch-hitting batter and a right-handed thrower, as he played both outfielder and pitcher. The guy was even stealing home.
And they pitch. Do they show a 3-pitch? Up, stealing home.
Wow, he did. As we're talking about it and breaking it all down, he came on home with the throw back to the mound. Unbelievable there, streaking home, Jameis Winston.
What couldn't he do? But with the good came the sort of bad. A couple times he got into trouble at school, including once when he was caught stealing crab legs from a Publix. Another time he was playing with a BB gun in an apartment that caused $4,400 in damages. But Jameis was just being a college kid who pushed the boundaries sometimes. When he focused on things like football, he was the best one on the field. His freshman year playing at Florida State, he threw for 4,057 yards and 40 touchdowns, both leading the conference. His freshman season was good enough for him to win the Heisman. Only once before has that been done, by Johnny Manziel. Still, Jameis was the youngest player to ever win the Heisman before Lamar Jackson took that crown by 4 days. After that season, Jameis played one more year of college football. His 3,907 passing yards led the conference once again, but this time, he also led the conference in interceptions with 18. A strange combination. Hopefully this could be something he could fix, right? After that season, the Buccaneers drafted him first overall. They were excited to see what he could do. Jameis's time as a Buccaneer would have all the ups and downs. He'd break several records, including accomplishing something that no player ever had. A record that was both terrific and terrible, but so damn fun to watch. He was thrown into the starting position immediately in 2015, but Tampa hoped to ease him in by leaning on the run game with Doug Martin. Their first game of the season was against Tennessee. After a Titans touchdown, Jameis had his first possession. 2 runs had Tampa in a 3rd and 3, and here came Jameis's first pass attempt of his NFL career.
3rd down and 3 for Tampa Bay. Jameis's first pass, intercepted, sends the ball to the house. Touchdown Titans.
Not the best outcome for your first career pass. They lost that game 42-14. But next week, Jameis picked it up. They beat the Saints, and he threw for 207 yards, a passing touchdown, and a rushing touchdown. The roller coaster career hit its first peak. The Bucs ended up 6-10, last in their division. But Jameis threw for over 4,000 yards, 22 touchdowns through the air, 6 on the ground, and plenty of highlights that landed him in the Pro Bowl, where he started to become not just a fan favorite, but also a player favorite.
Met him at my first Pro Bowl out in Hawaii. I meet him and I get on. I have never met this man in my entire life. I've never met him. And I get on the elevator and he just, he's like a cartoon character. Bro, you are the motherfucking GOAT.
Jameis' second season in Tampa, they achieved a 9-7 record. They missed the playoffs, but he went over 4,000 yards again, along with 28 touchdowns. Another peak on the Jameis roller coaster. But it was time for some big dips. 2017, his third season, the team couldn't buy a win. Jameis also got injured and missed 3 games. But the 13 games he did play in, he went 3-10. Then, due to some personal misconduct issues, Jameis was suspended for the first 3 games of the 2018 season. His team went 2-1 in his absence. Once he returned, he started putting up insane numbers, throwing for over 350 in 2 of his first 4 games back, one of them being against Atlanta, where he had 395 passing yards and 4 touchdowns. But they still went 1-3 in that stretch. Jameis then missed a couple more games due to injury, and went 2-5 when he came back to close out the season. But it was really the 2019 season when he lit the league up. He started throwing the ball to everybody, literally. He had 11 games of 300 or more passing yards, 3 games of 400 or more, over 450 passing yards in consecutive games, and he threw 33 passing touchdowns, his career high. But unfortunately, he was really throwing the ball to everyone, including the other team. His first game of the year, he threw 3 interceptions. Week 6 against the Panthers, he threw 5. He had 2 different games where he threw 4 picks, and in the end, 9 of the 16 games, he threw multiple interceptions, and many were pick sixes. After starting 3-7, Winston led the Bucs to 4 straight wins. Trying to claw their way into a playoff spot for the first time, Winston had thrown 4 pick sixes so far, and against the Texans, he couldn't shake the habit, throwing 1 to Bradley Roby, 5 on the year. And then, this tied for the record for most pick sixes in a season.
Some time, and it's intercepted again. It's intercepted by Justin Reed, and it's another pick 6.
With their last game against the Falcons, Winston was still heaving the ball every which way. Another pick, his 29th of the year. Then came his final interception of the season, which also gave him a few unfortunate records.
Only 3 points scored in the entire half.
An interception for a touchdown.
With that one pass, Winston did so much. It was his 7th pick 6 of the season, the most ever. It was also his 30th interception that year, most in the league. In doing so, he became the first ever player to throw for 30 touchdowns and 30 interceptions in one season. But he also led the league in passing yards at 5,109. Now, only 5 times in history has a quarterback ever thrown 30 or more picks in a season. Jameis joined Vinny Testaverde, Fran Tarkenton, Richard Todd, and Ken Stabler on that list. Of all those 30-plus pick machines, not one of them threw for more than 3,500 yards. Winston went over 5,000. And if that sounds like a lot, it's because it is. It's one of only 15 times a quarterback has thrown for over 5,000 yards in a season. And because a few quarterbacks have done it multiple times, it makes him one of only 9 to ever do it. 5,109 yards is also the 10th most yards a QB has ever passed for in a single season. Though Jameis broke plenty of records in Tampa, the team needed a passer to take them to the playoffs. Jameis ended up leaving the franchise as the all-time leader in yards with 19,737. His career would take a few more turns, but he still had another unique record left to break, one you wouldn't have thought even existed. He soon headed to a division rival New Orleans, first backing up Breeze while eating dubs. When Breeze retired, Jameis then alternated with Taysom Hill, Trevor Siemian, and Andy Dalton as the Saints' starting quarterback, spending more than half of his time as a backup, especially once Derek Carr arrived. Some may get soured by this experience, but Jameis never lost his spirit. This became most apparent in the last game of the 2023 season against Atlanta. New Orleans was up 41-17 with 1:10 left in the game on the 1-yard line. Jameis, as the backup, was put in the game to kneel it, but of course that didn't happen.
You know, there's a lot of factors that cause you to not be successful, and as we watch this touchdown.
Oh, man.
Why did Jameis just do a fake kneel handoff to Jamal Williams? Well, it's because Jamal Williams hadn't had a single touchdown all year.
Well, I apologize to DA because the play was victory. But I also explained to DA that it was a team decision. And I think when you have a team morale, and I asked the guys, I say, guys, like, what do you want to do? We know how much Jamal means to this team. And
teammates might love Jameis for that, but the coaching staff did not. After 2023, Jameis was dealt to Cleveland, backing up Deshaun Watson. Once Watson's season became a dumpster fire and the Browns had lost 5 in a row with their season looking to be all but over, Cleveland inserted Jameis into the lineup. They had to play the Baltimore juggernaut, but Jameis surprisingly led them to victory, throwing for 334 yards, leading all QBs in Week 8. So what did he have to say after the game?
It's a white boy from Detroit that I really admire named Eminem. He said, you only get one shot. Do not miss your chance to blow. This opportunity lasts once in a lifetime, and I know.
How does anyone not love this guy? After a couple more losses, they had another division rival, the Steelers.
You have said you don't become a Brown until you beat the Steelers. What will it take tonight?
The horse is prepared for battle, but victory comes from the Lord.
Jameis got his team so pumped up with his pregame speech that the Browns went out there as the stadium turned into a snow globe and won an exciting game. Then came the Monday night game against the Broncos, and Jameis needed to get this team fired up again.
the funny thing about this opportunity is we all know that that's what we do it for. All right, we worked all our life for this moment. It's just us today. And out there on that field, it's only going to be us. So let's fight together. Let's have each other back. Energy, execution, precision, and domination. All right, together. Here we go. Family on three, family on three. 1, 2, 3, family.
Jameis also got himself amped up, but maybe a bit too much. He did something no one had ever done before, making for one of the most entertaining games ever, no matter which team you root for. Jameis was throwing touchdown passes to David Njoku and Jerry Jeudy, new receivers of his in Cleveland. The problem was, he was also leading players like Nick Bonito and Jaquan McMillan into the end zone, but they were defenders on Denver. Jameis threw 3 interceptions, 2 of which were pick sixes. The interception return yards were 171. He also threw for 497 offensive yards and 4 touchdowns. So if you add those up, you'd get 668 combined yards, the most by a QB in a single game. He was also the first player ever with over 400 passing yards, 4 passing touchdowns, and 2 pick sixes in a game. Did we mention those 497 yards were the most passing yards in a single game in Cleveland franchise history? It was truly the perfect microcosm of Jameis's entire career.
I know I'm better than this. I know. I'm just praying for the Lord to deliver me from pick sixes. Like, that's just...
It might be you, Jameis, but it's okay. You have untouchable records, some that no one wants to break. Even with all those pick sixes, he has been in the league for 9 years, something very few athletes get to accomplish. No one will say he's the best quarterback in the league, but he's the most entertaining, and he will damn sure always be remembered. Thanks for watching. If you liked our video, be sure to subscribe and check out our other videos on the screen.